If you have been in your career for 10 or more years and you are feeling lost right now, let me tell you that that is perfectly normal. Maybe you have been feeling unsettled in your career. The work no longer feels meaningful, fulfilling, or exciting. Or maybe you're just starting to feel like you are underpaid, undervalued, and unhappy in your career, but you've been on your current career path or maybe even with the same company for 10 or more years. So now that you are not enjoying your career anymore, you feel super lost because what else are you meant to do after 10 years doing the same thing? Maybe you're even a little bit beating yourself up because you used to enjoy this job. So now you're starting to think that you are the problem because you don't enjoy it anymore. Well, let me say you are not in fact the problem. What you are experiencing is actually one of the most predictable things that can happen to a professional woman at this stage of her career. And in this video, I want to help you understand why you feel so lost as a mid-career professional woman, because I found that when you understand why you feel the way that you feel, it gives you information to work with so that you can change your situation and finally start enjoying your career again. If you are new here, hi, welcome. And if you are a regular viewer, welcome back. I'm Dr. Tega. I'm a career coach who helps mid-career professional women leave draining jobs they no longer enjoy and land higher paying, fulfilling careers by coaching them to clarify their next career move and job search without burning out. Check out the description of this video for more details about how we can work together. Let's get into today's video. Okay, so first, when I say mid-career, what exactly does that mean? Well, if you think about a typical working person, we might start professional work around, say, 21 years old, and then ideally, usually we're working until about 60, which is roughly 40 years of working as an adult. And I want you to think of those 40 years in 4 distinct phases, because each phase of your career has its own challenges, purpose, and its own demands. And most importantly, each phase requires something different from you when it comes to your identity. So the first phase is from year 0 to 10. Think of this as the orientation phase. This is when you are learning about the world of work. You are figuring out how to communicate professionally, how to exist in a corporate or organizational environment, how to show up, how to prove yourself. Maybe during this phase, you're saying yes to pretty much everything that comes your way because you are building your foundation and your reputation, and you're accumulating skills, experiences, and knowledge. And a lot of that accumulation, if you're being honest, happened by circumstance more than by design, right? Like maybe someone assigned you a task, you got good at it, and then it became your responsibility. Or maybe you volunteered for something once and then you never stopped being the one that was doing it. You essentially took what was available because you were new and you needed to build your career. That is the orientation phase. It is necessary and important for your career journey because it is where you establish your foundation as a working professional. Then we have the second phase, which is years 10 to 20 of your career. This is the phase I'm talking about in this video, because this is where you are probably sitting right now if you clicked on this video. This phase is what I call like the messy middle, because by the time you hit 10 years in your career, something starts to shift. At this point, you have enough experience working to know what you don't want in your career. You have started developing real standards for yourself and maybe even real boundaries, like the rose-colored glasses that maybe you might have had in year 1 are long gone at this point, and you're seeing the world of work more clearly now. You've also started to realize, maybe for the first time, that the path that you have been on is not necessarily the path that fits who you are becoming as a woman and a professional. Like that path might have worked for who you were at 21, but not who you are now. And the thing about the messy middle is it often feels really chaotic. And it's chaotic not because you're failing, but because for the first time in your career, you are being asked to do something that you have never had to do before. You are being asked to decide, not just accumulate knowledge and experiences, or to be the best performer at work, not just to show up and do your job and be good at it, but at this phase of your career, you have to decide who you are in the world of work, what direction you want your career to go in, and what you actually want the next chapter of your professional life to look like. And for most women, nobody prepared you for this phase of your career. You're just expected to get a job, know how to do the job, keep doing the job, and then what? Exactly. At the 10 to 20 year mark in your career, that's usually when you start asking questions like, is this all there is? What am I doing with my life? What's next? Where am I going? And usually no one has prepared you to answer those questions or make those types of decisions. Nobody has given you a framework for how to decide where you want to go next in your career, because the first 10 years were never about making those decisions or answering those questions. And then the third phase is years 20 to 30. And this is what I think of as the expertise phase. By this point, you know your lane. You are known for something specific in your field. You are deepening your knowledge and your expertise as opposed to broadening it. People at this point are coming to you because you have become the go-to person in your area for something. You are passionate about specific topics and you talk about it often. At this phase, you're no longer struggling with your identity because you've answered that question, or at least it's much clearer. And then the fourth and final phase are years 30 to 40, or I would say 30 and beyond. This is the legacy phase. At this phase of your career, you are usually more focused on transferring knowledge, mentoring people, stepping into having a different kind of impact. You are maybe even slowing down, intentionally seeking more peace in your life. You're likely just looking to enjoy the fruits of your labor at this point of your career. Now, just to reiterate, I said these 4 phases are typical. Typical doesn't mean that this is exactly what everyone goes through or everyone's experience, but for the most part, it is generally how people move through their careers. So let's talk about that mid-career phase and 3 reasons why being in that 10 to 20 year window in your career has you feeling so lost in your career right now. Reason 1 is that you accumulated your skills and experiences by circumstance, not by choice, and now you don't know who you actually are at work. Think about the first 10 years of your career. What were you doing? You were learning. Right? You were proving yourself. You were saying yes to everything because that is what you do when you're just starting out and you don't really know how to navigate the ropes. And a lot of what became your career, the skills you have, the work you're known for, the responsibilities on your resume, you likely did not deliberately choose most of that. You were mostly going with the flow. But the problem is that now, 10 years or more in, you're looking around at a career full of skills and experiences that you never consciously chose for yourself. And for the first time, you're in a season of your life where you need to figure out who you are in the world of work to be able to experience joy and fulfillment in your career. Not just report what happened to you, not describe the roles that you've had, decide, choose, author, create. And you have never had to do that in your career before. The first 10 years of your career never required you to sit and think about what is most important to you, what values you have, who you wanted to be at work. So of course you feel lost now. Now that you're no longer happy or thriving in your career, you're asking yourself, okay, what do I want from my career? Where do I fit? And those are new questions that you've likely never had to contend with before. So it makes complete sense that you feel like you're at a loss for how to answer those questions. Not to mention, the research also supports this. Psychology research has shown that when someone commits to a professional identity early without actively exploring alternatives, that identity becomes locked over time. So your brain essentially has now equated your identity in this career to who you are and stopped generating opportunities or options for other identities that you can embody. So you are not lost because you lack imagination, ability, or even options for your career. You are lost because your brain legit has never had to find you a new career path before, and it genuinely stopped looking for alternatives years ago. This is what happens when you spend a decade performing at work instead of deciding where you want to go. The second reason being mid-career makes you feel lost right now is that you know enough to know that this doesn't work anymore for you, but you don't know enough yet to know what does work for you. And this is a real tension that defines that messy middle I mentioned. You have enough experience now to have real standards in your career. You know what you don't want to do. You know what drains you. You know what feels meaningless and pointless and like a waste of your time. You know what you have outgrown. You don't have those rose-colored glasses anymore. You are completely like eyes open. You see the world of work clearly. And you're unhappy because you recognize that the path that you have been walking in your career for years isn't working for you anymore. But knowing what you don't want is not the same as knowing what you do want. And honestly, without a framework to follow or guidance to figuring out what you do want in your career, it can be hard to go to the next step. Again, because you've never done it before. You have been so focused on showing up, doing good work, being a team player, making sure the bills were paid. Nobody ever stopped you at year 7 or 8 and said, hey, let's pause. Who are you becoming? What do you actually want the next chapter of your career to look like? It just didn't happen. So now you're sitting in this in-between space where you are too self-aware to pretend your current career path is fine, but you're not clear enough to know what the next path is for you. And that is a really icky space to be in and why you feel lost. And usually at this point where you're trying to figure out what's next, it's very easy to default to, is it me? Am I to blame? Am I doing the most? But you're not. You have just hit a natural inflection point in your life and career, right? The research shows us that 7 to 10 year mark in any life situation, people naturally enter a transition period. And the main question of that transition period is, does this still fit who I have become? And the problem is that most professional women hit this natural window of needing to transition to remain fulfilled and engage in their careers. And they usually interpret that with burnout or weakness or ingratitude because nobody has told you before that the transition was coming and that it is normal. And that lack of preparation for a pivot is now exacerbating those feelings of loss when it comes to your career. The third reason being mid-career makes you feel lost is that you are in a state where leaving feels impossible, even when staying feels unbearable. And this is the one that I think makes the messy middle phase of your career feel really hard. Because it's not just that you feel lost, it's that you feel lost and stuck at the same time. And those two feelings together are exhausting. After 10 or more years in your career, you have built your entire life around it. The relationships, the status, the routine, the salary, the professional identity. People know you as this thing. You know yourself as this thing. And so even when you know deep down that this path is no longer right for you, leaving feels like you would be losing a piece of yourself. Not just the job, yourself, your entire professional sense of self, who you are. And that feeling makes it hard to make a change. And the fact is that the longer you stay in a role, the higher the perceived cost of leaving that job becomes. Like over time, it genuinely feels like leaving is going to break you. So you can feel that your job doesn't fit anymore because you've been there for over 10 years and you still can't imagine leaving. And both of those things are true at the exact same time. That is the messy middle. So when you put all three of those things together, right, you were never deliberately choosing your career direction. You know what doesn't work, but you don't know what does work. And leaving feels like you're losing yourself. It is no wonder that you feel so lost, even though you're unhappy in that job. You're in the natural messy middle of your career, a midlife career crisis, if you will. And that is perfectly normal and expected. We just don't talk about it enough. And here's what I want you to know about the messy middle. It is a phase. It is just a phase. It is not your final destination. Other women have moved through it. I have clients who have moved through it. I have moved through it. And the way through it is not to keep doing what you have been doing and hope that it just magically starts working, because it won't. Meaning waiting for things to change at your current job, reading self-help books, or asking other people what you're good at, or scrolling job boards at 2 a.m. Nah, none of those things are going to help you stop feeling lost in your career. The way through is to stop accumulating information and start deciding who you want to be as a working professional and what you want from the world of work. Stop letting circumstance define your career direction and start making deliberate choices about who you want to be and where you want to go next. Now, I know that it is easier said than done because deciding requires a lot of self-knowledge, right? It requires you knowing what you actually want, what you value, what skills genuinely energize you, and what kind of work fits the version of you that exists in the world today, not 10 years ago. So I'm going to give you some reflection questions to help you start your journey towards deciding what you want the next phase of your career to look like. Now, before I give you the 3 reflection questions real quick, if you are watching this and you are thinking to yourself, okay, I know that I'm in the messy middle. I know that I need to figure this out, but I have no idea where to even begin. That is exactly what I help with on a free career clarity call. We talk about where you are in your career, where you're struggling, and why you're feeling stuck. And on the call, I share 3 specific ways that I can help you get out of that messy middle and pivot into a more fulfilling career path. The link to book a free career clarity call with me is in the description of this video below. So now let's keep going. So like I said, I want to give you 3 reflection questions that I want to invite you to actually sit with, journal your responses, and just see what comes up for you. The first question is a backward look, okay? So looking at your first 10 years in your career, what did you genuinely enjoy doing and what drained you even though you were good at it? This question is important because the answer to the question separates the skills you have from the skills you actually want to keep using in your career. The second question is about where you are right now. In this season of your life, how do you want to feel when you show up to work every day? And what would have to be true about your job for that to be possible? This question really helps anchor you in who you are now, not who you were years ago. Your values have changed at this point. You have new priorities in your life and career. What mattered to you in the first phase of your career is probably not what matters to you anymore. And you need to really sit down and identify and name those values. And then the third question is looking forward. And it is when you imagine the next 10 years of your career, what do you want to do? Who do you want to become? What do you want to be known for? This is an identity question. This is the one that can really feel hard to answer because it requires you to decide what you want as opposed to just reporting what you've done. But it's also the most important question because the answer to this question is what is going to give you a direction for your next career move. So sit with those 3 questions, journal on them, talk them through with someone that you trust, a mentor. And if you find yourself sitting with the answers and still not sure what to do with them, or if you keep coming up with answers and then talking yourself out of them or out of making a move, that is a sign that you might need more support in navigating the next phase of your career. And I would love to help you. That is exactly what I offer on a career clarity call. A career clarity call is a free conversation with me where I take the questions that you've been sitting with, right? The things that you know about yourself, the things you're still unsure about, and I help you put it together into a clear picture of what could be next for you in your career. I look at where you are right now in your career, what is working for you, what is not working for you, and then I share with you how I can specifically help you as your coach to pivot into a new, fulfilling career phase. You can go to hercareerdoctor.com/call, CALL, to book that call today, or you can click the link in the description below to schedule your free career clarity call. The messy middle does not have to last as long as it has been lasting for you, okay? You don't have to figure this out alone, and you absolutely do not have to keep feeling lost when there is a clear process for helping you find your way to career fulfillment. So if you are ready to finally do work that you enjoy, can thrive in, and get paid well to do it, definitely click the link in the description of this video below to book your career clarity call. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope that you found it helpful. And if you did, don't forget to tap the like and subscribe buttons below. When you tap the like button, it signals to YouTube that this video is worth sharing with other people who need to hear the same message. And when you tap the subscribe button, it ensures that you don't miss future videos from me that can continue to support you in your career. And once you tap the like, subscribe, and notify buttons below, don't click away because watch this. There's another video popping up on the screen right here, right now. You probably haven't watched that video yet. So click that video, tap that video so that I can continue supporting you in your career.